There we go. Hope y'all are doing all right tonight. As you're hopping on, please feel free to say hello in the comments and share this thing on your personal pages. We'd really appreciate that as we prep to get started here. Sorry, I'm getting a little hydration there. I went for a run this morning and been trying to hydrate. It's like 1,000,000 degrees. This is one of those days at my house, typical summer day in Alabama, in the South, where it's like 95% humidity and 95 degrees outside, and it just feels like you're walking outside into a white blanket all day. Even this morning, it was like in the mid 70s, and I was running. It was 95% humidity. This is like 5:30 this morning, so before the sun was like, it was just crazy, ridiculous. Anyway, so it's just one of those times of year. Like if you live in the South, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, we're gonna talk about running and stuff here in a little bit, but. Anyway, so I think it's time to get started. So let's go ahead and get rocking. Feel free to, again, share this. Let's see who's hopping on tonight. Katie Lynn Reynolds says, hello. Good to see you, Katie. And Jen, thanks for tuning in once again. So let's get started, shall we? Tonight, this is Travel Tips Tuesday, and it is July the 27th, 2021. And tonight's topic is My Disney Honeymoon Story. And you're probably saying to yourself, Self, this would be a great night for John's wife to be on in person. And you would be correct. It would be a great night, but she won't actually be here in person. And that is my oversight, my fault. She actually is going to join us in the comments here for a little bit of back and forth banter, but it's been a super long day with the kiddos and everything. And we're kind of winding down for the evening. So in fact, one of them may make an appearance based on what was happening a little while ago. So anyway, we'll see. But tonight, the topic is My Disney Honeymoon Story. It's a story that I go back to from time to time. I've kind of told it when I've talked about our My Disney Story as a whole, kind of like when I was a cast member to kind of, where I am now. Our Disney Honeymoon Story is a very kind of central part, I think, to all of that. And we'll get into more of that here in just a little bit. But as we dig into that, I want to hear from you. Okay, where did you honeymoon? Where are you planning to go if you have not gone yet? So if you have been married, where did you and your spouse honeymoon? Would love to hear about that, whether it was to Disney or like the beach or the mountains or a road trip, whatever it is. We'd love to hear about that. And then also, if you have not honeymooned yet and you're planning to, or maybe you're dreaming to, you hope to one day, where do you plan to go? So I would love to hear about that. And, we may throw in a couple of options and tips along the way. We'll kind of see where we go with that. But first, tonight, let's talk about some travel news, specifically Disney news real quick. We always love talking about food here on Travel Tips Tuesday. And sometimes people get a little bit hangry because of the episodes kind of more focused on food, especially when we start talking about holiday food items. We're not doing that tonight. We're actually going to talk about some more reopenings of restaurants that have been announced. Yachtsman Steakhouse over at Disney's Yacht Club. It's almost exactly in the middle between Disney's Yacht and Beach Club. So kind of more on the Beach Club end of the Yacht Club. Great steakhouse, one of the best steaks on property. It is reopening in just a few days, which is next Wednesday, I think 1 week from tomorrow, 1 week from Thursday, rather, on Thursday, August the 5th. Can't talk tonight. Thursday, August the 5th. And bookings will be available in just a couple of days on July the 29th. So if you are headed down to the Walt Disney World Resort, August 5th or later, be on the lookout for some reservations to open up at Yachtsman Steakhouse. Second on the list, Toledo, the Tapas Steak and Seafood Restaurant at the top of the main tower at Disney's Coronado Springs, the top of the Grand Destino Tower, which is the newer portion of the Coronado Springs Resort. Toledo is an amazing restaurant. You get some incredible views of the Walt Disney World Resort property. You can actually look out one side of it and kind of see part of Galaxy's Edge sticking up. You can see some of the park icons lit up at night, and even fireworks if you catch it on a good night from a few spots. So Toledo, super great. I had the chance to go there with one of my friends at one point who graciously invited me to come along for a dinner that night. And it was an amazing experience. Great service, great food all around, and super happy to see that spot opening back up, as I'm sure the guests of Coronado Springs and Gran Destino Tower will be glad to see that open up as well. So great steak, seafood, tapas all around if you're just looking for some smaller bites. Also, speaking of seafood, if you want to get your park seafood fix, the Columbia Harbor House will be open in full. There have been some basic dishes from Columbia Harbor House that have been offered, I believe, at Tomorrowland Terrace at Magic Kingdom, while part of the time that Columbia Harbor House has been closed. But this particular restaurant is reopening for full service on August the 5th as well, with reservations soon to open also. And this is a place where you can go and get a lobster roll, a number of other different types of seafood if you want. So definitely check it out right there in the Liberty Square area, very close to the Haunted Mansion. There's also the Pizzafari over at Disney's Animal Kingdom Pizzafari to grab your theme park pizza. It's by no means Via Napoli over at Epcot, but it's pretty decent over at Disney's Animal Kingdom. That will be opening back up on August the 2nd, so that will be next Monday. So we're looking forward to that. And then, last but not least, taking a step away from talking about Disney food updates for now, is Harmonious. We've heard a lot about Harmonious. We've talked about it. Harmonious is going to be replacing Epcot Forever towards the end of September, when Epcot Forever will actually kind of cease operations. We've known that this show has been a temporary show for some time, that it is not going to be sticking around forever, and it will be going away towards the end of September. So make sure to catch that. I believe that the last date that it is showing is September the 28th. Also, for Happily Ever After, there's been some speculation along the way that show would be coming back after the 50th special show that they're going to be doing, called, I think, Disney Enchanted, I believe is the name of it. That is coming to Magic Kingdom starting October the 1st, as well as when Harmonious is coming up. But Happily Ever After will be showing for the last time, I believe, on September the 29th. So please be aware of that for your travel plans moving forward. Again, both parks do have replacement shows that are coming. Harmonious, as we mentioned, and then the Disney Enchanted show as well. That is going to be absolutely incredible. Both of them are amazing. If you have not been on the Disney Parks blog recently, definitely go and check it out. There's kind of about a 2-minute or so sort of behind the scenes look at Harmonious that looks pretty neat. That kind of shows some of the barges operating, the water spraying out, the video effects, and even a little bit of fireworks. I mean, they're not going to show everything, they're just it's kind of like a teaser trailer a little bit, if you will. So very excited to see what comes about there and what that full show is going to look like. So, and I hope to be able to report to you all this October, or possibly November, when hopefully I'll be down there. So, and then last but not least, for Disney news today I'm wearing my Run Disney polo that my wife got me for Christmas a few years ago. Today, the registration for the 2022 Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend opened up not early this morning, but at 9 a.m. Central. Some people were on way earlier than that, just kind of refreshing. There's some crazy fun Run Disney enthusiasts out there. I was able to re-register for the Dopey Challenge for 2022, so we'll be talking about that as we kind of get closer to that date. We'll be talking about that running journey a little bit. So looking forward to sharing more of that with you. As some of you may know, I used to have a running podcast specifically focused on my Dopey training journey. I was signed up for it last year. COVID canceled that. Just wasn't working out putting wise, to kind of where we were at in life at the time. So we put a pause on that, and we're moving forward. We're coming back around to it, doing the training, all the things. So hopefully we'll have an awesome time. It'll work out. And the Dopey is one of those things, I'm not an ultra runner by any means. I do it just because I love it. The Run Disney environment is a massive amount of fun. If you've never done a Run Disney race, I highly suggest it. I know some of the races have sold out for the marathon weekend. Last I checked, I believe the half marathon, 5K, and 10K have. So really, I think the marathon and some of the challenges are some of the only ones that have opened, that are still open as of right now. But occasionally Run Disney will reopen some of those races. You get to run through all the parks for the marathon, get to run through some of the parks for the other races. And it's just so much characters on the course. And we'll talk, we'll get into that later on. So once again, for those of you that are just popping on, we're going to be talking about my honeymoon story tonight. And hopefully my wife will be hopping on in the comments here in just a little bit if she's not already. And our question of the day is this right here. Where did you honeymoon? Where do you plan to honeymoon if you haven't been yet? I would love to hear that from you tonight. So let's see who all is on tonight. Cool. So first and foremost, Katie Lynn says, we're going to Sanctuary Cap Cana in October, but January is Disney, COVID wedding, so everything's messed up. There are a lot of people just like Katie that have had their wedding plans, vacation plans, all sorts of turned around and messed up, and people have had to flex and figure out different sort of options to fill the void for a little while, because you don't want to, like, getting married is one of those things that you don't want to let the COVID craziness get in the way of. I mean, that's something that you can go and do and knock out and get done, and it still be very special and meaningful for everyone, and even a honeymoon. But that's awesome that y'all are getting to do that, and it'll be a lot of fun being there in January for sure. So Jen said she liked the podcast. It was so good. It was good. Well, that's cool. I'm glad you like that. I may have to revive it every now and then. It maybe won't, it won't be like a weekly thing, but like maybe every so often, because I only got, I think, like maybe 7 or 8 episodes, something like that. It actually showed back up in my podcast feed recently. It was called Run Dopey by 40 because my goal was to run the Dopey Challenge before I turned 40, and I turned 40 this past May, so I'm 40 now. So it's more like Dopey at 40. I think my wife came up with that hashtag. So we may have to like rebrand it and then kind of pick up where we left off, kind of thing. So anyway, we'll see. We'll talk about some of those ideas and thoughts later on. So let's get into the honeymoon story. So first, when was that? In the year of our Lord 2006. December 2nd, 2006 was my wedding anniversary. So it will be 15 years this December. I'm excited about that for sure. It's been a great blessing to be married to my wife. She put up with a lot. She's put up with my kind of travel obsession and Disney obsession and all the things. And she understands that as well because she's a former cast member also. She was a college program student there. And for anybody ask me now, no, I did not meet her while she was a college program student. I actually met her almost 5 weeks to the day before I graduated college. So we can talk more about that later on. But again, we didn't honeymoon. We didn't leave on our wedding date because one of the conditions kind of when we were getting married and whatnot is college graduation was, I believe, on December 16th of that year for winter. So my wife actually finished fairly early. If you take into account her college program time and the fact she finished a semester early, she actually graduated about a year early. And we took, a little bit of time off. And then we went on our honeymoon a few days after she graduated. And then that week that we went was actually the week before Christmas. And you're probably saying to yourself again, isn't like Christmas time frame, isn't that usually kind of busy around the Disney parks? And you would be absolutely correct. The week between Christmas and New Year's at Disney, Walt Disney World rather, is the busy, and the Disneyland Resort, and even the itineraries that are going on Disney Cruise Line and many of the other Disney parks worldwide is one of the busiest weeks of the year. Kids are out of school, people are traveling, people are wanting to, give wonderful gifts, create some amazing memories, and do some awesome things just to celebrate the season and have a blast. And what a better place to do that than the Walt Disney World Resort. And my wife and I were both cast members there for a little while. And so we already had kind of some special memories and whatnot. It had been a couple of years since we had been cast members there. So we wanted to go somewhere special that was meaningful to us, and that's why we picked there. We stayed at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, what would be the Jumbo House. Kidani Village didn't exist just yet. We stayed in a Savannah View room. We actually took a picture of like the room number on there, so we still remember that. We've got a whole photo album, like remember the albums with the pictures. You put them in, and you open it, and there's actual like physical pictures in there if you remember what those are. We do have one of those. They exist in our house, and sometimes we'll get it out when we have family or guests or whatever over, and our kids will look at it and ask us questions about things or whatever. So Anyway, so we've got that with a bunch of pictures of animals and different things that we did along the way. It was a great stay. We love Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. There's a lot of awesome things about that resort hotel that make it one of my favorite places to be on all of Walt Disney World property. The sheer amount of dining availability that's there with Sanaa and Jiko and Mara, the quick service, and a few others. The number of free things to do around that resort hotels, different sort of scavenger hunt kind of things, seeing some of the animals that are out there, talking to some of the cast members that can tell you different stories. Just a lot of really neat things to see. Just the sheer detail, the detail of that particular resort, especially in the grand kind of lobby atrium area. And during the holidays, they have this massive custom tree that they put up, and it's different every year. It's not the same. It's different, and it has a lot of really cool detail in it as well. And it's one of the places where if you're not staying at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge during the holiday season and you're visiting Animal Kingdom Park, I would highly recommend you popping over to Animal Kingdom Lodge for maybe dinner at Sanaa or Jiko or one of the other restaurants that's there on property, because it's definitely a great place to see and definitely a great place to experience. So this is adorable. Babies, thank you so much, David. I really appreciate that. I think he's commenting on the amount of time maybe that we've been married. So anyway, we have a lot of awesome comments that are coming in tonight, y'all. Thank you so much. So yeah, we stayed at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. Absolutely love that. One of my favorite resorts. Great service, great experience all around. Was wonderful. We didn't really do a lot of eating at the resort itself. We did have some reservations. We had one at Jiko, which is one of the nicer restaurants that's at that particular resort hotel. And we did not eat there because my wife got a stomach bug, I think food poisoning while we were there. And you're probably thinking about food poisoning, sick. You don't want to get sick at all, let alone while you're on vacation. And we were taken care of pretty well. We missed out on probably about a day and a half or so of our trip. At least we had to take it easy after that. We were basically at the hotel for an entire day, just kind of hanging out. We had the Savannah View room, which honestly, if you're going to be stuck in your room trying to get back up on your feet after a little stomach bug, then yeah, what better place to be? It rained at one point, so we sat outside on the balcony, watched the animals, and it rained, and all those things. And in the quick service restaurant, the Mara at Animal Kingdom Lodge, is one of the places that I went to repeatedly to get food and whatnot. And so sometimes I would eat it on the balcony so my wife could rest or feel better. And anyway, so great experience there. And honestly, one of my favorite stories to tell of my experience, my personal experience at Disney, is on our honeymoon when she wasn't feeling well, and I was trying to figure out what to do. This sort of hit her in the middle of the night. So I'm up at 3:30 a.m. We didn't have phones with apps and things, so we had a phone book, yellow pages in the room, and then there's the front desk. So I'm calling the front desk to see if there's anything. I'm opening the phone book to see where the closest drugstore was or grocery store. I know where some of them were, but I was trying to figure out if there's anything closer, because again, we didn't have apps. We didn't have computers or tablets or any of that. This is 2004, 3 years before the iPhone was 2006, 1 year before the iPhone was released. So I was frustrated. I felt bad for her, and I wanted to kind of help her get better. So finally got the front desk. They're like, come on down here. We'll see what we've got, see what we can do. So, I went down there, and I'm just I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even think I had my shoes on at this point. I was dressed decently. So, there's that. I call that a win. I went down the front desk, and they're like, well, explained to them kind of what was going on. I wasn't feeling better. And so they went and got the manager and said, well, the gift shop's closed. I don't have anything at the front desk, but there is a section. You could see this if you go to the quick service locations for some of the resorts on property at Walt Disney World, or if you go to some of their gift shops, you'll see this spot there. They'll actually have a section with a lot of over-the-counter medicines Tylenol, Advil, Benadryl, Pepto-Bismol, those kinds of things. So I went there. the manager actually unlocked the gate. So like the lights were turned off, unlocked the gate, turn all the lights for me to go in there. Like there's the section over there, kind of like watch me like a hawk to make sure I wasn't like, messing with anything. Walked over, grabbed what I needed. He said, I don't even think I had my wallet, but regardless, he said, the store's closed right now. We want you to be able to take care of your wife. We're very sorry that, this has happened. And so just, if you remember, she gets to a point where she's feeling better, come on back out here and we'll just settle up then. Does that sound good? And I say, yeah, sure. Absolutely. So like in theory, like I didn't show my ID, room key, any of that. I just kind of, showed up and came out there. In theory, I wouldn't have, could have just, not come back, but I did. I'm honest. So I went back and settled up, and it was just a really meaningful moment because the manager there, the front desk people, they didn't have to do that. They could just said, well, here's the number for a taxi. We'll call you a taxi because we had flown down there, and so you can kind of go and get what you need and like come back or whatever. So, but they didn't make us do that. So they let me take care of her there. And we were kind of in there for about a day and a half or so, got her back up on her feet, and we kind of went back out and kind of finished up our trip. So we didn't get to go to GECO. And honestly, like one of my goals with all this travel planning thing is to be able to take her back there and finish up that stay and kind of get that day and a half plus back that we missed and have dinner at GECO. So that's one of my personal travel goals. And hopefully, one day we'll get to relive that, maybe during the holidays. So that would be pretty awesome. So other dining that we did do that we were look forward to, I did look forward to and look forward to hopefully doing again someday. I mentioned Mara, the quick service restaurant at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge in the parks. Specifically, I remember having dinner at Garden Grill and, with Chip and Dale. And I think Mickey was there also. They were kind of dressed up in some holiday fare. And Garden Grill is one of the, I would say it's almost a secret in a way of Epcot. Like it's not, people know it's there. It's the rotating restaurant in the land pavilion. But it's got a great menu. It's all you care to eat family style. So they like bring it to your table. You're not going to a buffet or anything like that. I mean, they're not really doing buffets at all right now at Disney World. Everything is all you care to eat family style. That was a buffet. So, they have a set menu and it's basically like holiday food, right? It's kind of turkey and dressing kind of roast kind of stuff. So it sort of fit for the season that we were in, and it was great. The food was delicious. The character greetings were great. The service was awesome. It was right there in one of our favorite parks. And I'm going to talk about our Epcot day here in just a little bit, because that was definitely highlight day of our entire honeymoon trip. We also ate a lot of Mickey bars because, Mickey premium bars, got to take them. So let's go back and see. Yeah. She says, you may like telling the story, but I like the free wine story. So, yeah. So I think this is a comment that my wife put up there. So we're not like heavy drinkers or anything in our house, but I had called ahead, and this is something you can do. And Travelmation actually has something kind of like this that we can do. Is your agent, as your travel planner, that I do for clients right now. And you can actually call ahead and have the Disney kind of gifts people send gifts in advance to your room. So I wanted to do that. I want to make sure we had a little, bride Mickey ears and the Mickey top hat. Like back then, they actually had a top hat somewhere in the house, and it doesn't fit on my head at all because I have a large noggin. And my wife makes fun of me because they had to custom make a bellhop hat for me when I was a cast member at Tower of Terror. My head was so big that they did not have a hat that fit me in all of costuming at then Disney MGM Studios for Tower of Terror. So I was just that special. She may be going to get the hat right now to bring it to me. I'm not really sure. Yep. Hang on. I think she's bringing it to me. So it's kind of dusty a little bit, but yeah, this is it. This is what the hats used to look like. Turn on backwards. This is what the hats used to look like at Disney World, kind of when we honeymoon. So you could see like right now, like it totally, like I could put it like that or like that. Like if I wiggle my head, it falls off. But anyway, so anyway, so I was like Disney right there. So got it from there, and that kind of came with that gift set we got in our room. So it had the Disney bride kind of mini white ears and with a veil in the back, and then had that top hat, a couple of champagne flutes with a bottle of champagne, which I had told them that we wanted sparkling grape juice instead, and so they actually did that by mistake, and so they ended up sending us a second kind of basket with these things, with a bottle of sparkling grape juice and another pair of champagne flutes. So we actually came away with like 4 Mickey champagne flutes that are really nice that we only ever use around New Year's when we toast our sparkling, grape juice, and a free bottle of wine that we never drank. So anyway, I think we may have like given it to somebody or something, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. So that was a fun experience, but that's that story. I'd forgotten about that. So I'm going to change the banner on the front there. So we'll come back to some of y'all's stories. We'd love to hear more about that. So some other things that we did, aside from eating, because we ate a lot, we like to eat. Disney has good food, so we checked a lot of that off the list. One of the other highlight experiences was getting a couple massage at Senses by Disney Spa at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. So we planned it where we spent an entire kind of long day at Magic Kingdom, and we were done at the end of the day. We were just like, if you've ever been to Disney, Walt Disney World, you know what Disney tired means. I mean, it's just like you just want to lay down and just kind of pass out and sleep. You can sleep anywhere on a bus, with somebody's stranger like armpit in your face. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're packed in there like sardines. You're all going back to your hotel and you're just tired. You just want to check out. And we knew that we were going to be exhausted. So I think what we did was we went there all day, and we went I think it was like mid to late afternoon. We left the park, went over to Grand Floridian, to the resort and spa, went to Senses, did the couples massage experience, which felt like it was 5 minutes, honestly, but I think it was about an hour long. And then we left there, went back into the park and did the fireworks and watched Wishes. If you remember Wishes, love that show. Massive fan of Wishes. Absolutely love it. We've got the soundtrack floating around here somewhere. And then we went about the rest of our night. So it was a lot of fun. That was definitely a highlight event as well. So the spa was amazing for sure. My wife agrees with me on that. Tracy says, okay, now I want a massage. Tracy is a kind of local friend and client. So so they're slowly starting to provide some updates to some of those experiences for guests. So we can definitely talk about that. There are 2 Census locations at Walt Disney World. Kind of the main one that people know about is at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. And if any other Travelmation agents are on tonight, I think the other one is either at Old Key West or Saratoga. I think it's at Saratoga Springs. I think that makes more sense. So those are kind of the 2 places that you can go and have that experience. There are some kind of other spas on property, but those are kind of the 2 main ones that are known for the best kind of overall from beginning to end kind of pampering experiences for ladies and for men as well. So I would go back there in a heartbeat. Yeah, it is. Jen says it's Saratoga. So thank you for that. So again, for some reason, like I'm just in a brain fog right now. So I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this later and see what I was actually saying. No, just kidding. The next thing we did. So if you saw I'm going to take my camera off. There's a very small kind of sliver of the streets of America that still exists right outside the entrance to Galaxy's Edge over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. But they had this massive light display. That was from the Osborne family did it, and Disney kind of caught wind of it and said, that's really awesome. Will you come do that at our parks? And they were like, yeah, so let's do it. And eventually that agreement ended, unfortunately. But like, if you've ever been shopping in like the middle of the summer or like late spring, and there are Christmas decorations that are going on the shelves, and you're like, what in the world? Like, school hasn't even ended yet. It is the middle of July. Why do I see Christmas trees up already? Like, this is like how much detail went into the spectacle of dancing lights at Disney's Hollywood Studios. They would start putting these lights up, I think, in like August. Okay, so August, so like for 3.5-ish months before they turned them on for, you know, to kind of have the whole experience there at Disney's Hollywood Studios that would, you know, was Disney MGM back then. And it would, like, you could like watch them. They had like cherry pickers up, putting the lights up, and you could see them strung along the buildings and everything. Super detailed. You know, they would have lines kind of across between the buildings with things hanging, and just, I don't know. It was a really cool experience. Things spinning around, music, Snope, so kind of the fake soap snow. It was narrated then, I think, by Phineas and Ferb. So if you are a Phineas and Ferb fan, from Disney yesteryear. So it was just an absolutely amazing experience. Love the Osborne family spectacle of dancing lights. It was just a really cool experience. I like putting lights up. So if you're, you know, a Clark Griswold kind of person, this would have been like your thing for sure. So lots of it was just one of those things. People milled around, hung out. It was happy. It was cheery. It was just like, it's one of those things where I would love to see it back. Like if we were to do an episode, which we may do this someday, and Tanya, if you're still watching this, remind me about this later. We need to do an episode of like things that we would bring back if we could. And this would be definitely top on my list for a number of reasons. Just a great all around experience for guests. And I think a pretty high guest satisfaction rating too, for the most part. So definitely sad to see that go. Next on the list, some other things that we did: the Christmas parades at Magic Kingdom. So definitely highlight if you've been to the Very Merry Christmas party in the past, or the version of it that's say coming this year. So and they've done so they've done a specific parade for the Very Merry Christmas party that was kind of exclusive for that, but on select days in the past they have done one where it was available not every day of the afternoon, but they would do the same parade during the middle of the day, basically, so some regular day paying guest could see it. And we had the chance to be there on one of those days and saw Santa and Mickey and Minnie and all the others kind of dressed up in their outfits, and it was just a really fun experience. It's a fun, happy, lighthearted parade that has the sort of Disney pixie dust sprinkled kind of together with the holiday magic, and it was just a really, really entertaining experience. And also if you'll remember, 15 years ago, Animal Kingdom still had parades, not just flotillas, I think, like they've been doing the past year or so, but they had actual parades. It was called something like the Jungle Jammin' Parade or something like that. I don't remember the exact name of it, but a really awesome experience. Again, characters that had sort of this sort of Animal Kingdom flair to it that I feel like definitely had Joe Rohde's paw prints on it, if you will. It was a wonderful theme, very fun event that we loved, that we got to see and experience. And then there was our Epcot day. My wife says, "I'm watching you, Rogers, always watching." Thank you. I guess that makes me Mike Wazowski. So we'll go with that. So there's also the Epcot day, which was, Tanya, you can chime in on this if you want to. I think it was probably our favorite day of the entire time. We did, and that was an open to close day at Epcot. You're probably saying to yourself, isn't Epcot, like, especially if you got little kids and stuff, isn't that normally the park that you would like either not go to or only do a half day at? Some people might say yes. I fully believe, regardless of what age your kids are, that you could do a full day at Epcot if you wanted to. And one of the reasons why we did a full day at Epcot was because what's called now the International Festival of the Holidays. I think it was called then just like the Festival of the Holidays or something like that. Had a slightly different name, but of course the sort of holiday themed topiaries, the Christmas tree that's there that they do a nightly lighting of, the festive, holiday food items that are there, some of the characters, the lights, the different things. They were still doing illuminations back then, and they had a special holiday tag, sort of the special holiday ending that they would do to the show, which was really awesome and very special. But one of the things that we absolutely loved were the Epcot storytellers. And the storytellers, and this is something that has been done, except for last year, I believe they are coming back this year, from what I understand, is that, or actually, no, let me back up. I'll tell you that we don't 100% know because we haven't heard of all the details for the International Festival of Holidays just yet. But I would fully suspect that the storytellers would be back. Definitely a highlight event. So most of the countries around the world showcase, as it were, have some sort of Santa figure, be it Pierre Noel in France, or Father Christmas in the UK, or Santa Claus, in the American Pavilion. Each country kind of has their own sort of story of what the sort of Santa tradition is like. And they're not all called Saint Nick or Santa Claus. It's something slightly different. And each of these storytellers kind of dress up in costume. And they kind of take you through the story and act out and tell a story with maybe some other actors and different theme music and thing along the way. They kind of have an outdoor sort of seating area around each country where you can experience these, and they're sort of going on throughout the day. And it's educational, but it's also lighthearted and fun. I mean, these are funny, lighthearted presentations that we really enjoyed seeing, and we love learning about all the different traditions and kind of taking it all in. And of course, the World Showcase Lagoon is a very large thing to walk around. And we probably did a couple of laps or so of it as we were experiencing all these different storytellers. And we did a lot of the attractions. We ate some good food. I mentioned earlier that we went to Garden Grill, and that was a lot of fun. So definitely don't bypass Epcot. Definitely don't bypass Epcot during the holiday season. Okay, so definitely make sure to check it out. So she did say, my wife does agree, the storytellers were my favorite. And Jen comments, I wonder what Morocco's is. I don't know, but if you know and you're listening in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. If you know what Morocco's Santa tradition is. I think most of them have one that's there. I don't specifically remember Morocco having one. They might have had something. But anyway, so there's that. Next on the list are the exploring the gingerbread houses. So, each we didn't go to every one. So a lot of the resorts have these sort of featured gingerbread houses that are, it kind of has a wooden structure to it, but all the panels, shingles, and a lot of even some of the supports and whatnot are these big, massive pieces of gingerbread, and then they sell gingerbread out of these houses and sometimes hot cider. They actually had one at the American Pavilion at Epcot in a park where they would sell hot cider out of it. And for a while, I had this mug where they, you had, it was a mug that they would serve you cider in. It was sort of a souvenir thing that we took home with us. And I think we ended up giving that away at some point. But we went to that. We went to the one at the Grand Floridian, of course, where we had our couples massage and got to see that in person. And that was really neat. Of course, in the Grand Floridian, like the Animal Kingdom Lodge, they have this massive tree that's inside it. And even though, you're probably saying to yourself, this is I've said that a bunch of times this episode, I'm sorry. But a lot of these things, all these things that I'm talking about happened 15 years ago, but a lot of these things I'm talking about are still going on today. So if you wanted to plan a trip during the holiday season to see a lot of these things, check it out, go. A lot of the decorations start going up right after Halloween. So November 1, a lot of the fall decorations are coming down. The holiday decorations are going up. There's this sort of slight gray area for the first few days of November when you see some fall things and some Christmas, / holiday things that are still up. And then towards that, into the first full week of November is when, all the holiday decor is up, the music is going, and it's just a really fun place to be, for sure. So we also did some pen trading, have a lot of pictures with this hat on right here, with our lanyards on, and I've still got a lanyard somewhere. We don't do as much of that anymore, but that was a lot of fun doing pen trading for a little while when we did that. There's some pins that I wouldn't let go of. I think I have one from the opening of when Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith opened. I have one of those, and there's some others that are really neat. And just some that kind of are sentimental and bring back memories and things. And we did a picture in front of the Sorcerer Mickey hat. I did not want to get my picture taken with that hat on because it's literally poop. Just I'll do it again. It just sort of like sits on there like barely, because I've got a large noggin, and that's how it's made. So that's okay. So we did miss out on a few things, unfortunately, like I talked about earlier, when my wife wasn't feeling well. But again, those are hopefully memories we hope to make one day when we go back, either with our own family, our whole family, or just us. So that's one of the things I would love to relive one of these days. All in all, like, I would 100% recommend going to Walt Disney World during the holiday season. It doesn't have to be during the busiest week of the year between Christmas and New Year's. It can be, in that early mid part of November when the holiday decorations are up. It can be after Christmas, because a lot of those decorations are still up, if you just want to be there for that. If you want to be there when all the things are going, I would definitely recommend like after Thanksgiving, but before like Christmas, full on Christmas time, when kids are still in school. So really that like first week or two of December is a great time to go as well, because the temperature is a little bit more mild. All the things are up and running for the holiday season, and you'll have a blast creating some amazing memories. So whether you're going, they're on just a family trip, or playing an anniversary, or a honeymoon, or another special trip to celebrate something, definitely don't miss out on going to Walt Disney World during the holiday season. It's an extra special time to go. Even if you're not going during the holiday season and you are celebrating a honeymoon, a lot of things that I mentioned are typically available. There's some great adult-only options for couples that are going there to celebrate and make some amazing memories. One of the things I do for my clients, I mentioned we had I'm starting to do more of this as I am able. One of the things I like to do is I like to send them a thank you. And we have something with Travelmation called Travelmation Treats, where we are able to do basically almost in-room gift delivery. And some, like, we don't have a random person that like shows up to your door or anything, but sometimes the Disney cast members will deliver these things on our behalf. And, that's one of the things I love doing. So there's some ways that like I like to sprinkle magic to my clients to make sure they know that they are loved, appreciated, and that, I'm thankful for their commitment to use me as their travel planner. And I try to find ways to celebrate with them along the way. There are ways to get special things delivered, and I can't like make Mickey magically appear at your table at like wherever you want, or to eat dinner, but there's some things that we can do to definitely talk about it and figure out how to make it extra special and some experiences for you. So that's one of the things I do. I try to get to know everybody and see how we can serve them well, to make sure whatever experience they're looking for at Walt Disney World is the one that fits well for them. So I really appreciate you all popping on tonight for this fun little episode, as we kind of went down memory lane a little bit, and I shared part of my Disney story. We may go back to talking about when my wife and I were cast members. We maybe do one of those shows. We may have, another show or two that we do as well to kind of go down memory lane. So if you have any show ideas, for be it my wife and I doing one together, or other show ideas, topics, things you would like to cover aside from just taking a look at Disney news, please send them my way. Feel free to just drop them in the comments, or send me an email or message on Facebook, or whatever the case is. So again, thank y'all so much for joining me for another episode of Travel Tips Tuesday. This has been a lot of fun. I look forward to sharing more with you about my Run Disney journey as we get into that, and coming back to you next week for another episode. So again, thank you so much. We hope you have a magical rest of your week, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.